Big changes in trucking, court rulings, and more explained. The Supreme Court has recently become involved in a case where a driver was wrongly accused of being at fault in an accident. Could you be at risk? Could this set a dangerous precedent for you being blamed in future accidents? And there's talk of shifting freight taxation rates in a way that could affect your bottom line. Are you struggling to keep your head above water? Well, let's have a chat. Talk with me, BossMan, and plenty of others in the industry. And let's unpack all this today on another episode of Frontlines. Howdy ho and greetings. Greetings to you truck lovers, truth seekers, and visionaries from all across the heartland. So begins another day of broadcast excellence here in the Truckin City Mobile Studios. I am your host, BossMan, the El Rushbo of trucking news and opinion. Back behind the Golden Truth Broadcasting microphone once more, locked and loaded with the truth that powers the trucking world, the unstoppable force driving America's greatness forward. Happily doing so with a skill granted by God to convey to you everything you need to make trucking great again. We are having a wonderful day today. We've just gotten done having an APU installed on this truck. So let me know in the comments if you can hear the APU anywhere in my audio. I want to know. I'm very aware and cognizant of that. But you know what? Hey, we're not perfect. Every day is a holiday here. Be sure to help us out by sharing this show with others in trucking. Others who, like you, want to stay updated and fixed with the power to sound off on issues that matter. 860-785-3547 is our studio line. We welcome your ability to call in and talk to us about issues that matter. This is your lifeline to keeping the media accountable and the corporate elites in check. My inbox is your pathway to make that happen. So email me today if you have something on your mind you want to say, or another way to help make trucking great again. Today's discussion is going to be around two major things. Let me highlight one of them. Folks, you know, you've seen it before. We've seen the headlines. We've heard the whispers, but it's time to get down to business. The Supreme Court is taking yet another look at a large verdict, and it's stirring up the industry once again. What does this mean for the future of trucking? Are the courts set to unleash yet another wave of blame the trucker hysteria? Well, we'll break it down right here, as only we can, holding the media and the courts and the big players accountable. Pay close attention to a news article. I surfaced a video not long ago about what tonight's show will be about, but it's not the only thing. Important nonetheless. Another article has surfaced talking about detailing a proposed tax rule change that could hit your wallet hard and reshape how we do business on the road. And this isn't just about big companies, it's about you too, the everyday trucker, and what those changes could mean for your future behind the wheel. But hey, you know what? This ain't just doom and gloom. This isn't just another talk show. We're here to cover it all. We're here to make sure you're well equipped and prepared. I urge you, rise up, inspire others, and do your part to help make trucking great again. You control your destiny behind the wheel. And today we're serving up to you, the kind of encouragement no other show can give you. And we'll remind you why it is we do what we do. Inspiration, truth, accountability, it's all coming up right here on this show. So buckle up. This ride's just getting started. We want you to get in on the conversation. Call our studio lines 860-785-3547. Talk to me, the one and the only boss man. Let's get this show started. And while you're at it, if you find my eye teeth, send them home. Welcome to the only show that can be what this show is and what all others can't be. What Rush was to politics, I want to be for trucking. Viewer contributions are the backbone. So do me a favor, go down below, hit the like button, become a subscriber. This is where you will come to in the future to get your news on trucking. I want others like you to know and realize Frontlines means business. With your support and engagement, this show will become the go-to place for trucking news. I don't take this job lightly, and neither do my guests. Featured and my co-host is Driving with John, grumpy old trucker. We got Fate Trucking in the house, Larry the trucker, all of them with me. All of them share the same vision I do about the future of trucking. Let me start this show out in a way that I think most other shows forget about. Folks, I want you to ponder something for a minute. Confucius has the right idea. Think about it. Life's simple truths are out there in plain sight. Yet what do? We throw in bureaucracy, tangled regulations, endless red tape. Nowhere is this more evident than in the trucking industry, where simplicity gets hijacked by complex rules, pointless taxation schemes, never-ending legal battles. You work hard, you drive the miles, and you're slapped with the obstacles like what we'll be talking about on this show today. First, the new tax proposal. It's bad enough the wheels of your rig never stop turning, but now some folks think they can put the brakes on your livelihood with taxes that defy common sense. I mean, who's in charge here? Are they trying to make trucking more complicated just for the fun of it, or are they actually clueless about how vital this industry is? That, my friends, is exactly what I'm talking about. Life is simple. It ain't broke. Don't fix it. Why are they turning straightforward processes into a convoluted disaster? Why make things harder for the men and women out here keeping this country moving? Totally absurd. Put in your comment down below what you think of that statement. Supreme Court's gearing up to take a look at a case that's been hanging over the head of truckers for years. The man in this case wasn't even blamed for the accident, and yet here we are, all these years later, still trying to get justice figured out and served for the right people. Here's what I want you to think about. Why is it so complicated to get a fair shake in this country? Accidents happen. I get that. But what doesn't make sense is when you're not the one at fault and you're still dragged through the mud for years. Remember, Confucius said, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Well, that's exactly what we're seeing here, folks. This government, these legal minds, these bureaucracies, they seem determined to take what's simple and turn it into a circus of complexity. So the purpose of my show today is to highlight both of these, to say no to these complicated schemes that are designed to confuse, control, and cripple hardworking men and women like you and me out here Let's fight for simplicity. Let's fight for justice the right way and the right to make a living without being taxed and tangled into submission. As always, if you've got an opinion or you've got a thought on my moment of inspiration or the upcoming stories, give us a call. 800 or not 800. What am I thinking? I'm out on a rush show. 860-785-3547. And by the way, I still don't know where my eye teeth are. But let's bring on the guests and let's get some initial thoughts out the way. Let's bring on Driving with John, my co-host in charge with the dog in the lap. God bless you, my friend. How are you today?
Me and Snoopy, we're doing great tonight.
Talk about simple. That can't get any simpler than that right there. Snoopy. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were trying to get a leg up on Thumper and Bo, but I'll leave that one alone.
Well, a leg up, a leg down. As long as I'm winning, it don't matter. Oh, who brought him here?
Leg up.
No, who brought you in?
No. Vote for Driving with John, by the way. Vote for Driving with John.
Vote for Grumpy, please.
All right, guys. All right. Presidential debate was last week. So what did you think, Grumpy, of the idea of overcomplicating and what Confucius said? Do you think I'm really kind of dragging the mud here, or do you think I got something?
Actually, you do have a point there, because I mean, the old saying is that I've always lived by: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that's what they keep doing. They keep trying to fix things, and they mess it up when they do.
Yep, exactly. And I really think people ought to just take a step back and realize, you know what? This job would be so much better if there wasn't 1,000,001 regulations, when to pee, when not to pee, when to raise your leg, to Snoopy's credit, and when not to. So bring on another guest, Larry the Trucker. God bless you, my friend. What part of the country are you blessing us from today?
Texas.
Are things half as complicated in Texas as they are where I'm at?
Probably.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Think about it.
Everything's a little bit slower down here, but.
So what you just said, everything's bigger in Texas. Is that why I have a big gremlin chewing on my truck every now and then?
That's why you have a big grumpy chip on your shoulder too.
There you go.
There you go. There's a lot of possibility to that one. Yeah. Well,
everything moves a little bit slower down here, but
it does indeed. It does indeed. Well, I want to get
Texas
this show
is
started.
one state they will stand up for each other, though.
This is true. This is true. I got one thing I got to look for real quick, and I don't think I loaded it. Yeah, everything is always bigger in Texas. I've always discovered that.
Well, not everything.
Yeah, there it is. All right, gentlemen, let's get to story number 1, where I will bring on the rest of the guests, and we will then take a look at some comments and rock and roll. Alrighty, let me see here. I'm trying to be seamless, but I'm having not so good luck right now. Give me a minute, folks. Tried to make it look good. And we're talking about, there, we got it. We're diving into a case that's rocked the trucking industry. And you know what? My take is just as important as yours. So let me know if you agree. Quite frankly, this case threatens the very livelihood of truckers across this nation. This case is involving Warner Enterprises, and it's being reviewed by none other than the Texas Supreme Court. It's not just a matter of life and death. It's actually a matter of justice and fairness. Let me tell you why I say that. Let me lay it out for you. We're talking about a nuclear verdict, a staggering $100 million awarded verdict to a family after a tragic accident back in December 2014. Now, don't get me wrong. My heart goes out to the family. Losing a child is an unspeakable tragedy, and I do not intend to minimize or alter that or alter the aspect of that in any way. But here's the kicker, and this is where things get complicated. The trucker involved in this accident is a man by the name of Shiraz Ali. He was not at fault. The facts tell a story of a vehicle driven by Trey Salinas, lost control during a National Weather Service winter storm warning, had warned against driving and caution, crossed after losing control a 42-foot median section before smashing into the Warner truck being driven by Ali. Now, at the time, it was also being operated by another individual, a trainer. But think about this. You're driving your rig, you're doing everything by the book, and then suddenly, bam, out of nowhere, your car comes to a skidding, streaking halt from across the median straight into your lane, and boom, you now have an accident to deal with. Now, here's where the court case comes into play. Warner Enterprises and this driver, Ali, are fighting a $100 million verdict on the grounds that the jury's negligent findings were factually and legally insufficient. Ali was following the rules. He was driving cautiously in poor conditions. By memory, he was driving around 40 miles an hour, which was far below the recommended speed given the conditions. And yet the jury found him negligent. Why? Because we insist on making things complicated. Hence the thing. The verdict sends a chilling message to every trucker out there. No matter how cautious, how responsible or professional you are, you could still be the fall guy in an accident that's not your fault. Let me tell you something. This isn't just about one man or one company. This is about every one of you on the road today. This is about a system failing us when it comes to accountability and common sense. Now, I know some of you thinking, but BossMan, what about the fact that Ali's trainer was asleep in the back of the cab? Yeah, it's true. Ali had scored 8 out of 21 on his recent evaluations, and yes, his trainer was asleep. But does that make the driver at the time, the trainee, responsible for the car careening out of control on a highway during a winter storm? I say no. But this is where the system gets even more twisted. They're twisting a tragic set of circumstances and placing blame on someone who had no control over the events unfolding in front of them. This whole situation's a legal minefield, but at its core, it's about one simple truth. The trucker, in his case, did not cause the accident. The courts, however, are making it complicated, just like Confucius warned us, by layering negligence on top of tragedy. They're looking at a man who was doing his job, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're saying, you're guilty. But it gets worse. This case has been winding its way through the courts for nearly a decade. Folks, this is 10 years of BS. Legal battles, appeals, courtroom drama. Lower court ruled in favor of this outrageous verdict in 2018. And then the Court of Appeals upheld it. Now, the Texas Supreme Court is stepping in to take a second look. It's about time. We've got to ask ourselves an important question. Is this about justice, or is it about punishing someone just because they're an easy target? These verdicts don't just ruin one company or one trucker. They set a precedent that makes every single one of you out there a potential victim. When a verdict like this is handed down, it raises costs for everyone. Insurance goes up, small carriers get pushed out, and in the end, who suffers? You. So here's the truth. This isn't about money or one case. This is about defending the honor, professionalism, and the livelihood of everybody out here who is on the road doing the best in an unforgiving system. The right to do here is clear. The verdict needs to be overturned, looked at, and scrutinized in an honest way, because if we continue down this road of pushing people who aren't at fault, we're headed for disaster. We can't afford to be scapegoats for tragedies they didn't cause. The courts need to recognize that this verdict is not based on facts, but emotion. We're all grieving for the family. We all want what's right, but justice cannot come at the cost of truth. And the truth here is The driver, Ali, did nothing wrong and did nothing to warrant a colossal verdict against him. This is why we fight. This is why we have this show. And this is why, for accountability's sake, where this discussion belongs. Let's hope that the Texas Supreme Court, through the smoke and mirrors, delivers a verdict that stands for justice, stands for you and me, and actually upholds our right to do right. Because honestly, truck lovers, we're not done yet. We're going to keep exposing these stories that affect your rights, your livelihood, and your future. So call our show, 860-785-3547. Let us know in the comments what you think and what you believe the right outcome should be. Because like you, I think there's only one right way to do this. There's only one right way to defend an industry as important as trucking. Poet, what do you think? Do you think I'm off my mark, or do you think I'm onto something?
No, I think you're onto something. Like I said in the comments, remember that in both our countries, we are classified as unskilled labor. What better target than people that can't afford highfalutin lawyers?
Good point. Good point.
And I can see this going up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Well, right now it's at state level. Yeah. You think it could go further?
Yeah, no, state level. Yeah, I can see this going up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. If the driver was not at fault, okay, if the four-wheeler crossed a 42-foot median and smashed into the side of a Werner truck, how is Werner at fault?
Good point. Good point.
Makes
I don't
sense?
think I don't think the company, if they were erred in how the training was done, then the company should be held liable. I fully agree with that concept. What do you think, John?
Okay.
Is this the story where they went back and said, well, if he wouldn't have done this and this, he wouldn't have been there at the time of the accident? I know that's a Warner suit, but is that this suit?
I think this was the suit. Yeah, I think you're on the right track because they're saying
So basically,
differently, he wouldn't have been where he was physically.
Right.
That didn't do anything wrong.
So basically, he didn't do anything wrong, but because he went through that yellow light and turned right instead of left, it put him in position to be there for this accident. That's how they won. And if that's our standards that we're going by now, then pretty much every accident you get in, you can sue, because the other person might not have been there if they'd have woke up a minute later and their alarm wouldn't have went off, or if they'd been waiting for BossMan to start alive, maybe they wouldn't have been there on time. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
It's
crazy, really, when you think about it. The precedent that something like this could set. I mean, honestly, there are a lot of money-loving ambulance chasers out there that will pay attention and would love for this preference or precedent to be the thing. I wanted to take a second and highlight a couple of new faces in the comment section. Christina, welcome to the show. Glad you could be with us. I'm glad you're paying attention. Certainly like the fact that you're watching. Spread the word. Let others know. Go ahead, John. You were going to say something?
I was just going to talk about something the poet just said about being unskilled labor. I know that sounds so offensive, but if you compare us to like a doctor or a lawyer, someone that spends 10, 12, 15 years in college, if you're comparing us to them, then yes, we're not skilled. But to be a truck driver requires skill. It's not something that everybody can do, and it's something that through training you can become better and more skilled at. So it depends on how you're defining unskilled labor, But it is true that you can go through a 6-week course and become a truck driver. So in that way, I get what they're saying. So
this is not me saying it, okay?
No, I
We
know.
are on both sides of the border federally, okay? Within both federal governments, we are classified as unskilled labor.
Oh, no, I know that. I know that. And I'm just trying to explain for those that are watching that don't understand why that would be. It's because the amount of training of entry to get into trucking is actually a very low bar. So,
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. 54 plus years in, and I
agreed.
am still learning.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, this is what
Everybody
we
has
do.
a lot. Yeah, everybody has a lot to learn. I mean, that is what makes this industry so really special and unique in that we do learn a lot.
Every day.
Yeah, I've said before, and I'll say again, the day you stop learning, the way I've said it is the day you stop learning, life becomes dull and boring. But honestly, in my honest opinion, when it comes to doing this job, the day you stop learning, you really need to stop living. I mean, honestly, you're not that you need to stop living, but you essentially stop living. That's kind of what the point I'm getting to. I
Well, if you're
mean,
not
The
progressing forward,
day,
you're going backwards. So if you're not getting better at your
yeah,
job and learning, then you're getting worse
thank
at your
you.
job.
the,
Yep,
the
yep.
day you stop learning is the day you die. And
Hey,
even
bring
then,
F8 in.
after they bury
Bring
our
bring Fade
carcass,
in.
okay,
Oh, okay.
even
I
after they
totally,
bury your
I
carcass,
totally
there's a
Fate. I
whole
have to
new way
apologize.
of
I have
looking
way
at the
too many.
sky.
Yeah, I have way too many tiles on the bottom of this whole thing. I'm in the process of trying to straighten a system out, so I don't do that. But my apologies to leaving you backstage, my friend.
So
Anyway,
I gotta be very quick. Can you all hear me?
yes, by all means,
Yep,
go ahead.
we
Be as
can.
quick and as forward as you want, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, because it looks like I'm the only one that's actually working today, so I'm gonna make this very quick. Um, uh,
Ouch! Ouch!
this is
Hey,
I
hey,
am. Hold on, let me get to my point, and then I'm gonna get off and rip on me. Um, I'm not
Truly good
blaming the
boss now.
trucker.
Okay.
I am blaming the trainer. You, you
Okay.
started this by saying they were driving in
Yeah.
a national winter storm warning, and that they were going well below the posted speed limit. All good things. Here's
Right.
advice from somebody with 26 years experience. If you have to drive that slow below the posted speed limit
Park
and
it.
there is a national
Park it.
emergency warning, park the damn truck and do not
Park it.
drive, because it is
Yep.
your responsibility as a professional driver to
Yes.
operate professionally. That is not
Amen.
operating
You
Amen.
got
professionally in my mind.
No one here is
Fate,
going
I
to rip on you.
totally
All
get
of
it.
us are giving you
three
2 thumbs
guys
up right
with
now.
thumbs
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
You have a
I do
panel.
got
You
a
have a
bonus.
panel.
I might come back
You
in.
All right. We'll look forward to you. And just so you know, if you hear us back on the replay, Fate, we do, as a panel, unanimously agree with that
Mhm.
perspective.
Hey, hey,
That,
hey.
however, that, however, does not in any way alter what my take on this whole Supreme Court needs to look at it. Just because what Fate said is true, just because all facts being equal, we as a panel agree with the facts as he laid them out, doesn't change the fact that as a company, Warner may needed to have updated their policies regarding what Fate said. I don't think the driver did anything to precipitate the accident, nor do I think that putting through a verdict, giving that driver culpability is any way to solve the problem. I mean, yes, something needs to be done for the family that was affected, but then where in this case are they taking equal accountability for the family or the driver of that family's car for losing control equally as much as the driver driving the truck? Now, again, I don't want to minimize what
Exactly.
Fate said, because what Fate said is
No.
dead on. As a professional driver, personally, if I feel like I cannot handle given road conditions or given circumstances I've approached on, I will look for a way out. Exit situation, exit stage right, not drive, park the rig, whatever. Could think of 100 things to say. But that still doesn't make up for the fact that maybe Ali was looking for safe haven. Maybe he was on his way to park the truck. We don't know. I'm not that deep into the facts. But given everything that's been discussed, everything that's been said, let me ask you, Grumpy, do you think the $100 million verdict by itself was fair, even though the facts showed the trucker wasn't at fault? I mean, think about it. Everything we just talked about, everything we've just kind of come to, was this about really justice, or is there some other thought process going on in the minds of those in trucking? What do you think?
I feel that because it's drawn out for this 10-year period or more, it's more of a factor of gimme, 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 gimme. That's what I'm after. I don't care about my family kind of thing. And I don't like that. Now, once again, I'll touch on it because of my years out here. We don't know that driver of that Warner truck wasn't looking for a safe place to park. He could have been.
Right.
We don't know the whole full story. Now, on that, what Fate was saying, the trainer should have not been asleep. I don't care how much experience that trainee had. That trainer should have been up there in that passenger seat. Secondly, the four-wheeler that caused the collision to begin with probably should have never been leaving home, because I'm sure they have a way to watch the weather, knew the weather was going to be bad, and they should, I mean, they had their children, right? So you don't take, when weather is bad, when weather is bad, I never travel with my kids, even when they were little, big, or nothing. I never traveled with my children. I traveled alone, or just me and my wife. That would be it. They stayed at home with their bigger siblings.
Exactly.
Or I just didn't go at all.
Agreed.
I want to give a Frontlines welcome to Tolga, oi from Turkey. God bless you. Thank you for joining us on today's show. Cancel Fate? No, we ain't going to do that.
I got something to add to that comment.
What's that, John?
Hey, Toga, you're a legend, man, but I'm telling you right now, you're listening to the wrong people. Those people that are saying cancel Fate Trucking, they are some of his biggest supporters. I know it's a joke, but don't do that, man. Everybody go subscribe to Fate Trucking. Right now, he's screaming on the top of his head, no, no, no. Everybody go subscribe to Fate Trucking. Awesome channel.
I will back that up with telling you and the audience, every single one of these guys on this panel are part of the legends Tolga speaks of. And I will tell you that without these guys, this show would not be as good as it is. These guys, and this is why I showed this slide a minute ago, these guys right here make up, honestly, over 100 years worth of experience. Fate is included in that. We are destined for excellence, and we are dramatically going to improve the quality of your life with just this show and these news stories. So when you're done here, you have to go immediately subscribe with all these guys and follow them the same way you do me. I am not going to take all the credit here. All right,
Big John, you're squeaking.
Actually,
somebody is.
Oh, sorry, Snoopy's playing with toys right now.
Snoopy, play away. What you got, Fate?
Actually,
what you got,
BossMan,
What?
actually, we have about 150 years between the five of us.
All right, forgive my graphics designer. He was estimating, okay? The show ain't about him. It's about me. Stop it.
He's fired.
I will talk to your
Yeah, right.
graphics. I will talk to your graphics designer after the show.
There you go. Okay. I'll put you in touch with him personally. Larry the trucker,
okay.
Let me ask you a question. How do you feel knowing that this case could set a precedent where truckers might be blamed for accidents they didn't cause? Does this verdict actually make you think twice about the risks we face? Every time you get behind the wheel, do you think this is something you're going to now be more worried about than ever?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're blamed for it even if it ain't our fault. We're bigger than them. And that's the way most people's mentality is. We're bigger than them, so we're going to blame the bigger truck or the bigger vehicle rather than who actually caused it.
Yep. Fate says Tolga's the legend. God bless you. He is so right there. You in the audience are the legends more than us because you follow us and you listen to us. So back at you, my friend. Good call, John. Appreciate you highlighting that comment for me. That is what I'm talking about. That and that alone is where this show makes or breaks history. Because we rely on you, you are the legends. I can only speak truth here. I will not blow anybody's doors off with propaganda. Pardon me, I'm getting my bearings straight here. Question number 3. If you were the Texas Supreme Court, what would you decide? What would you do? Would you overturn the verdict? Put this in the comments. I want to hear from you in the audience. I'm going to ask the panel, but I want to hear from you as well. Should they stand by the facts, or should the legal system do its job and uphold someone who's not at fault? Let me ask you, Poet, what do you think? You're not much on American legal system, but I'm sure that you're paying attention to this as well. What do you think?
I think it should be overturned. Of course, the driver, trainee, whatever, was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the wrong place at the right time. If he'd have waited 5 more minutes at the truck stop, it never would have happened, but it would have happened to somebody else. So I guess they picked Werner because it's a big company with lots of this. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm thinking that if the driver was found not responsible, how could they find the company responsible and not hold the driver of the 4-wheeler responsible?
That's the other thing too, and I'm glad you highlighted that. You know, in this case, I mean, if the company were responsible, you know, hold them accountable for their mistakes, okay? But in the case itself, the driver, albeit the trainer was questionable, the driver himself was handling everything professionally and was doing the right thing. Now, the only sticking point to my statement by stating that is, like Fate said, he should have honestly parked the truck and probably not driven. But does that by itself warrant a verdict of such high dollar value? Whilst not, to your point, Poet, whilst not going against the company. I mean, think about that. How can you not blame a company but blame the driver? Or vice versa? What sense does that make? I mean, look at the one on Highway 64 we covered not long ago, where the company was plainly and obviously in the wrong in so many ways. You know, ghost drivers, pushing fatigued driving. You know, they were just, I mean, clearly and abundantly, Triton Logistics was way above board, wrong in every sense. But this case, it's a total flip-flop. It's a total night-day thing. So
let me ask you, did the trainer ever get charged?
I don't think that ever came to light. I think he was partially only because he was asleep at the time. You know, more to the point John made earlier.
But he's a trainer. Was he ever implicated in the crash?
Don't know. I don't recall those facts. I honestly could not tell you. Okay. If you know in the audience, put in the comments. Let me know. I'd certainly welcome any insight. I may not have overlooked. I mean, this is going off 2 articles, so nowhere in those articles was that disclosed. Go ahead, John.
I think if you're going to blame Warner, then you have to go through the trainer to get to Warner, not the driver. in that
Right.
circumstance.
Right.
The driver, I mean, honestly, being a new guy, he was probably told to drive. So that's also Warner's fault
Correct.
because honestly, and
Right.
now we all know you're the captain of your own ship and you pull over when you don't feel safe. But new guys, they do what they're told. And that's what causes a lot of problems in this
Exactly.
situation. So I think that's where Warner comes into this. I think, see, even it even upset Snoopy back there. He's screaming at me because he's so mad that driver's to blame right now. You know?
Okay.
Right. Yeah. You
Okay.
never know.
So,
Yep.
personally, on the prairies up in Canada, there are times when we have to chain up, even though you can watch your dog run away for 2 weeks, right? Much like the Dakotas. If I have to chain up on a flat stretch,
Mhm.
I park it. When I get to
Makes sense.
British Columbia, if I have to chain up on a hill, I'll chain up to make it up or down the hill to a safe haven. But
Yeah.
trainees don't get taught that. They're told, drive.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to bed, you drive.
Uh huh.
And that's
One
and
more
that's
question.
wrong.
Got one more
That's
question,
where the
and I want got one more question. I want some. I want some audience answers. If not, if you're watching this on the replay, go down below after you've hit the like button and put down your answer to the following question. How would a verdict like this affect your confidence in the industry as a whole? Would this make you consider hanging up your keys? Or does this
Yep.
push you to even more harder and more rigidly fight for what's right? I want to hear from you in the audience. Call our studio line, 860-75-3547. Let me know what you think. Grumpy, what's your answer to that question?
Well, I was going to comment back on the last one. Basically, I mean, like Poet was saying, you chain up long enough to get to a safe place to park. And obviously, the trainee was probably not told anything about putting chains on, or even probably for that fact, a lot of places don't even teach you anymore. However, when I was training, I only got lucky and got to train one fella before the pandemic happened. I actually took the time to see if he knew anything about how to put the chains on, all that. And he did demonstrate to me properly and all that. So, that's what part of the training process is with a trainer.
Yes.
Mhm.
We are, as if I'm speaking as a trainer now, we are responsible for almost every single thing the person being trained learns. If you do it wrong, it's a whole ball of wax that really
That's
cannot.
that's on me.
Right. Well, and you know what? In future shows, I'm going to have a discussion on what makes a trainer a good trainer. But I've seen videos and I've seen one person call out a good trainer versus a bad trainer. And you know what that is? A good trainer versus a bad trainer is someone that has a lot of experience. Now that don't mean a lot of miles. That don't mean they've been in it a while.
No.
That means they have a lot of experience. Okay? That means they've done drive-in, they've done flatbed, they've been in situations, they've driven in the winter, they've driven in the summer, they've driven in the city, they've driven on the highway. It's not just a time period, a mileage factor, a given type of sector of trucking. It's the whole enchilada. So
Mhm.
we don't know what
See,
kind of. Yeah, go ahead, John.
one of our favorite panelists that aren't on here right now tells him and I got in a debate over this, and he believes if you're born to be a trainer, you can train even after one day of driving, because you're born to be a trainer. I believe that you have to have two things. You have to be able to be a trainer, because not everybody's made to train. Like I always say, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a teacher. That's why I say that, because I would never be a trainer. I know that's not my personality. But beyond that, you also need to have the experience you're talking about. And I'm not talking about a time limit. It could be, 3 years. It could be 10 years. It could be 30 years before you're ready to train. But you have to be ready to train
And you
before
have
you
to have
do.
the patience. The
Mhm.
patience.
Well,
That's right.
see, for me, I'm a control freak, and I couldn't stand letting someone else be in control of a semi while I was sitting in. No, thank you. That's why I'm not a trainer.
Yep.
That's why I don't like flying. I'm
There
not
you
in
go. There you go.
control.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
see, I don't know how to fly a plane, so I'm okay with that part. But I know how to drive a semi.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Yeah, so do I.
Hey
But
guys.
I still hate flying or being in a bus because I'm
Right.
not up there in control.
Exactly. Exactly. Guys, I've got one more story, and it's going to be just as fiery as the one you're talking about. We are going to talk about taxation because you know what? They're trying to put us under yet again. They've got a targeted system on us right now. The tax man is coming and they're playing with rules. They could dig deeper into your wallet. We're talking about freight taxation. Let's set the scene with a situation. It starts with an argument that's been swirling around for a while, and I found it in an article, which will be linked down below. It affects every single independent trucker, every small fleet, and every one of the big boys out there. And it's about how state taxes the value of freight and its movement. The wrong move here could hit your bottom line hard. For decades, we've had something called the mileage-based system. You're taxed based on the miles you log in each and every state. Simple. If you drive through a state, they get a piece of that pie for the miles you drive on their roads. It's a system that's been the bedrock of trucking for almost half a century. It's what the industry knows, and by and large, it works. But now some of these big states, any surprise here? California being one of them, Illinois and New York are taking up the charge too. They want to toss this system out and switch to a destination-based or pick up and deliver system. Now, what does that mean? Instead of taxing based on the miles you drive, they want to tax based on where you pick up and where you drop off. Sounds like a minor thing, but believe me, it's not. It's the big popular states like California, New York, Illinois, these states with big ports, big cities, and a whole lot of deliveries going in and out. They stand to collect way more tax money if they switch from this to a pickup deliver system. If your load starts in California, they want a bigger slice of the pie, even if you only spent a fraction of the time driving in the state. Now picture this. You're moving from Long Beach to Chicago. Under this new system, California is going to get to tax you based on the value of the load when you picked it up. And then Illinois is going to get it when you drop it off. But here's the kicker, my friends. The miles in between, say you drove through Arizona and Mexico, you maybe stopped in Missouri, they're getting left out. Okay? It would completely undermine the fairness of the current system, a system where everybody gets a cut based on the miles you drive. Here's where this gets interesting, though. As of this moment, thankfully, we've dodged a major bullet. The multi-state tax commission. You guys still looking for my eye teeth? Let me know if you find them. It's a quasi-government body that decides on things like this. They just had a meeting last month, and believe me, it got heated. The proposal to switch from the mileage rule to pickup, it was rejected. It was tossed out. Okay? But it wasn't just common sense or a stroke of good luck. No, it was a result of a powerful letter sent in on behalf of the ATA. The ATA in this letter laid out exactly why this change would devastate the industry. Now, I was going to put up a graphic representation of the letter, but in part, it says, we urge you to maintain the current mileage-based system, which has served the trucking industry and state tax authorities equitably for decades. Proposed shift to a destination-based model threatens to unfairly burden smaller carriers and distort the flow of interstate commerce. And they conclude by saying the shift would especially harm independent operators who form the backbone of the freight transportation network. The change of this magnitude is not only unnecessary, but counterproductive to stability and growth. Okay? Before we start celebrating, they may have looked at it and rejected it, but those pushing for this change aren't going to give up easy. They're going to come back probably November after the election. They're going to make another attempt. We can't afford to let this go. Don't get complacent. You could be paying taxes in one state where you pick up and another where you drop off and potentially miss out on miles in between. And guess what? It could add up. You could end up paying for someone else's bills. You could end up paying for something you can't afford. Guys, it's your time to sound off with what I've told you and what you now know. I want to hear from you. 860-785-3547. Let's bring the panel back. Let's hear from you in the audience. Let's sound off. Let's not let this just go. This needs to be made whole. It needs to be made loud, and it needs to be made public. This is our industry we're talking about, and we don't need to take this lightly. We honestly need to pay attention and make sure people are well informed. John, what do you think of the story? Just in the way I said it.
Well, first I want to say tax equals legalized theft. But besides that,
I knew you were going to go there.
yeah, well, I understand that some taxes are needed. I mean, we drive on roads that need to be paid for, things like, I get it. But I think a lot of times they lean on the taxes for things that aren't popular or that the people want, which is our money. So shouldn't we get a say in that? Oh, that's right, we do when we vote. So make sure you get out to vote, guys.
Right. Yep.
So
vote now.
That's right. But no, honestly, the whole IFTA tax. Here's what they're trying to do. This is my theory. They're eventually going to get rid of IFTA tax. The reason why is we're going away from diesel. So they got to figure out new taxes to cover the IFTA taxes that they're losing. Think about it. If they're now taxing the cargo in the state it leaves from and the state it goes to, guess what? Now you have taxes. But the problem is, if you're not a state that gets a lot of cargo coming in or going out, but driving through, you're out. You're done.
Yep. You are one of the forgotten few.
So what's next? Are they going to charge tax in every jurisdiction you drive through? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
they will.
Yep.
That's
Go ahead.
It's just like the state of Oregon. When you go through there with a big truck, you got to buy a special permit, and you got to let them know where you're going and what routes you're taking, because they tax you by the mileage you're going through them. So we've already pretty much got the ball rolling there, and they're going off that concept, I'm sure.
And you've got to pay a special tax, when I understand too, where you got to pay a special tax because they're not part of the IFTA system. You got to pay a special tax just to purchase fuel in that state.
Oregon is not part of the IFTA system?
No, they're not. They're not. Nope.
Okay.
They have a special way of collecting. They have a special way of collecting fuel taxes, and as far as I know, we're not suffering for it. But and neither is Oregon. I don't know what their system is, but I do know that one of the things I used to be reminded of constantly is if I went into Oregon, purchase fuel before I go in, because the taxes on the mileage are extremely high. And we don't have a way for IFTA to offset those taxes. Whereas in other states, you can purchase fuel and have that fuel purchase tax credit be issued against the mileage tax. Oregon doesn't do that. They don't share in that. So, by the way, if you guys are watching this show and you want to be part of the panel, go ahead. While there's still time left, go ahead and hit the link in the StreamYard link in the description below, and we'll welcome you in and be part of the cast and crew, as it were. So again, I mean, when it comes down to it, back to what we were talking about, how do you think shifting?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, how do you think shifting to a pickup deliver versus mileage would affect a person's bottom line? It almost makes sense that something like this would almost necessitate a revamp of IFTA, don't you think? I mean, if something like this were to be done, I mean, who here would welcome the abolishment of IFTA?
Well, wait. It depends on what it's replaced with. It could be worse.
Well, and that's, I was just going to go there. Thank you for cutting me off. But I mean, honestly, think about it. Who here likes driving and not bookkeeping? So, I mean, I'm on board. Honestly, I am on board with anything that simplifies a current system. Now, I don't deal in IFTA. My companies usually do. So, because again, I'm going to play driving with John here for a minute. I'm just a company driver. I don't know nothing. But no, I don't like complicated methods, which is one of the reasons why I started the show out with, Confucius and the complication thing. I like simple,
I know.
so if we're going to do anything, make it simpler, make it easier. Don't make it more complicated.
I know
Sorry,
people are going
to.
Sorry, I really got to say this. I know people are going to get angry when I say this. The current system is not that complicated. You're going to pay IFTA in every state that you drive through. It's that simple, whether you get fuel there or not. So all you got to do is find the lowest raw fuel price and don't worry about IFTA. That's all that matters. You're going to pay IFTA either way.
I'm not talking about that being complicated. What I'm talking about in terms of complication is my awareness of the fact that if you're an independent guy, you've got your own authority, you got your own MC, you don't run under contract with anybody. If you're on your own, okay, whatever states you drive through, you have to file quarterly. Don't miss a beat, because if you do, you pay penalties. File for both mileage and fuel. You have to track your receipts. You have to turn them in. You have to prepare in case you're audited. That's the complication I'm talking about. That is a lot. If you're on your own authority and you run your own trucking company, that's what you've got to do. Now,
I can't.
Does that for me, but
I can't speak as being a carrier, but I have been an owner operator. In the past and in a former life. So, but I can tell you that people overcomplicate the whole IFTA thing. It's not that complicated. And I understand it sucks, but the system that they replace it with, and they will eventually replace it, will not be better. Trust me, it'll hurt us much worse.
Any system, if the government is involved, will be complicated by nature. Yeah, by default. So
Isn't that what the grabberment is all about? Take more money out of the walls.
Well, what they are about and what they should be are always diverse. They never are.
There are 5 different things, but grabberments are out there trying to rip off more dollar bills out of your wallet.
Yeah. Well, and they don't need to control the way they do. I probably join the millions that feel like it's high time reforms are made. Now I'm going to say,
as a person I heard earlier, is the government micromanages us
more than some of the companies do. More than some of the companies do. Yeah. I mean, you laugh, John. I fully agree with that.
Well, that was in one of my videos recently about companies micromanaging people.
Wait a minute. Did I see that in one of your videos?
Yes, you did.
My goodness. I actually watched Driving with John. Oh, no.
Even funnier, I saw the guy down there in the corner wearing a Driving with John hat on YouTube. It was amazing. and the hat was sexy. I'm just saying.
Be right back.
Oh, you heard something now. Guys, take a moment. Take a moment. I'm gonna stall the obvious, but take a moment while you're watching this and just do yourself a favor. Put on the darkest sunglasses you can find and make sure that the image about to show up on your screen doesn't unnerve you. Put away your dinner, get it set, get it stowed, and just make sure, in all seriousness, do take the time, go subscribe to Driving with John, to Grumpy Old Trucker, and show them the equal love too. And yeah, we got it right here. Looking like Bill Murray, if I do say so myself, with that smirk.
I'll take that.
There you go. Anyway, Grumpy
that would look better on me. Just saying.
Just saying. That's my hashtag, Mo. Don't take my hashtag. Let me
It's
ask
a
you
great
question.
hat. It really is.
Last question. Do you think that the rejection of this shift by the MTC is the right move, or do you think it speaks to more important issues? What do you think, guys? Think about it. We got taxes in this country already through the roof. They're way too high. There's way too many. And there's fees for everything. Maybe they should think about dropping back some of this stuff. What does half of this fund anyway? What do you guys think?
They never
Put it in the
will-
comments.
They
Let
They
me
never
know.
definitely don't go for the road.
Say again, Larry?
They never
They
will.
definitely don't go for the roads.
That's true.
Well, it depends on what state. There are states that have good roads.
Yep.
Up
There
here,
are.
Name one.
up here, personal income tax was instituted during either World War One or Two as a temporary measure to help out the war effort. Okay? We're looking at 100 years later.
Do you know how many laws are on the books in the U.S. that are still on as a result of a war or a conflict? They've just never been removed. Every law practically has
Probably.
a connotation. Every law has a connotation to if we were to be at war. So, you know what? Laws and rules were put into place. The only reason they stick is because people like you and me continue to vote these people in that make these laws, and we continue to say nothing. We
I do.
sit back and take it while they give it to us.
Now, wasn't there
Not
something
that
that
they
pretty
happened
correct.
over
That is pretty correct in government.
Okay, guys.
almost
my
200
hand's
years
been
ago?
dying.
Say again, Grumpy.
I said, wasn't there something that happened here in the U.S. over 200 years ago that had something to do with taxes?
I think there's a
You want some tea or something? Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe.
Maybe go to
Let's say I
Boston and have some tea?
There you go.
Maybe. You never know.
Careful, we're not going back to the territory of let's stage a protest, let's strike, let's. Okay, I get it. I get it. You
Wait,
guys
do that
are-
voice again. Do that voice again. That was funny right there.
Yeah, I work hard at that stuff. Let me tell you.
It makes my short more real.
Yeah, right. I'm not hearing much from the audience, so I'm guessing we don't have many watching. So I'm hoping this replay really gets some attention. Because you know what? When it comes down to it, the audience needs to know big government, big judgments, big verdicts, and taxation are on the menu. They are on the menu. You guys are being targeted, and you really need to keep your wits about you. And you really need to make sure you're sharp. Because
Target
if you're not
acquired.
careful, right? If you're not careful, they're going to tax you right out of business and verdict your butt right out of. Did that voice a little too well? Okay. I'll talk to you later, young lady. Because I've got a cohort right here who just loves opening that Pandora's box. And let me tell you something. Him and I are going to go rounds after the show. Just saying.
Oh, by the way, as soon as the show's over, I'm out.
Chicken. You're chicken.
Everybody else said it was okay. I figured forgiveness was better than permission with you.
Oops, did I do that? Yeah, listen to her. That's true.
Oh,
Guys,
I'm in
I'm gonna
danger.
huh? What's that?
Ooh, I'm in danger.
Right? Yep. You're funny. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you something. This, honestly, it's a necessary thing. We need to get everybody as educated as possible. Wrong music. I'm gonna have to talk to my set. I'm gonna have to talk to my set designer. We're gonna have to make some changes, folks, and we're gonna make some good ones. Every day out here is just another day. This show is but a check mark on the list of things to make trucking great again. The battle for truth rages on. It's happening right here. And if you think today's show was sharp, go down below, hit the like button, tune in Saturday at 11. We're cranking it up yet again. Another notch in the belt. We're doing more improvements. We're bringing you more stories. You don't want to miss it because the road ahead is rough. And the only way it can get smoother is with truth in your face. Never forget, guys, it's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. We'll be back here again, giving you news and views. But till then, keep it real, keep it straight, and keep it rolling.